Hey, Speak Easy podcast listeners. It is another episode of the hashtag Speak Easy podcast with your host, Altavis Pelzer, your voice manager. I am mute, the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. Guys, y'all know this series has been phenomenal. And if you have not been listening in, if this is your first time checking in, make sure that you go back, check out some of the information that's been shared in this particular series, because I think this is a series that is going to kind of set you up with a clear foundation for you to be able to excel after COVID. I know a lot of people right now are like, yeah, do this and sign up for this and take a part of this. And I'm just like, so we got to work on the inside and then work our way out. And that's why this episode is definitely one of my faves in the series. Yeah, that part, right? Because I know that this has been something that I personally have been working on even before COVID started. So COVID actually enhanced it for me. With that being said, I want to say hello to my guest. Hello, Trish. How are you?
Hi, Altavis. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And so I'm like ready to like dive into this episode. But Trish, let everybody in the studio audience know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go ahead and dive in.
Okay, so my name is Trish Ahjel Roberts, and I am the author of an inspirational journal called 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness, a journal of insights, quotes, and questions to juice up your journey, as well as two other self-help books. So I quit my job as a financial advisor about a year and a half ago. I had been doing that for 12 years and launched my business. So the business name is Honey Butterflies. And that's it. I've been, helping people find their happiness. I'm a self-actualization coach and a yoga and meditation instructor. And I've just been living the dream, Altavis. I'm excited to share.
I'm excited about this because when we talk about happiness, let's be real. There are so many things that have stripped away our happiness, that has stripped away our joy, that has stripped away even just the basic things like laughter in this last 12 months. Like, it's been pandemonium, and we don't know when it's going to shift or kind of end and re-begin, or we don't know what it's going to
It's
do
so
at this
much,
point,
right?
right? At this point, you don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to happiness, one of the things that I've had to learn is that we can create our own. And so I want to start there, because I know that sometimes people are just like, well, with everything going on, how do I just create a moment of happiness?
Right. And, the thing is that so many times we think that happiness has to do with our surroundings. And it does have an impact. We're all out here dealing with all kinds of issues. But the main source of your happiness comes from yourself. And I always kind of get this picture of Mother Teresa in my head, because she would be in Calcutta in the slums doing all the things and have this happiness exuding from her, And in my work as a financial advisor, I worked with a lot of people who had a lot of money and who were unhappy. And then we all have aunties and stuff who really are not rolling in money, but they have community, they have a sense of purpose, they have family, and they may have very small amounts of stuff, but they have so much joy. They'll be making dumplings and stuff. When I was a kid, I thought dumplings were like such a luxury. And then you get older and it's like, wait a minute, that's flour and water, you know. So you can really create your joy from the inside out. And truthfully, that's really the only way to do it.
Oh my goodness. And so that part is really important, and it slides us right into the next piece where and Speak Easy podcast listeners, this is going to hurt, because I know it hurt me when I came to this realization, is that you have to take power back when it comes to your happiness. And a lot of times we've given that power to other people, And we have to learn that process of taking that power back. So speak to that a little bit, because I think in the time that we're in right now, and as we're moving to life after COVID, taking back that power to just say, I'm going to be happy, it's going to be an uphill battle for some people.
Yeah, I think setting boundaries is a big part of that. A lot of us have had some time to be introspective because of COVID and not almost have the boundaries set for us. We didn't really have to set it. We were just home. So we were able to do more self-care work. So I think laying the foundation for that after COVID is so important, because you're not going to be able to achieve, because I'm really talking about self-actualization, which is the highest level of happiness, if you're not setting time to work for yourself, to work on yourself, and to take care of yourself. So, that might mean trying a yoga class or taking a few minutes of meditation or reading a book, that is personal development. Just taking moments for yourself, especially with things that are going to improve qualities that you want to improve in yourself. So I can't tell people what they want to work on, but you know what you want to work on. Like if you want to become a better speaker or a better writer or a better social activist or a better mom, whatever it is, taking time to work on the qualities that you want to develop in yourself, because that's the foundation of self-love. I find there's a lot of talk around self-love without people really even knowing who they are or knowing who they want to become. Like there's no self-awareness in there. And you really have to build that self-awareness and authenticity before you can really build self-love. And, being happy without loving yourself authentically is not really possible. Like we can entertain ourselves. We can go and watch movies and laugh. And, right now we're watching them at home for the most part, but we can still watch movies and laugh, or look at our TikToks and laugh and stuff like that. But that's just a moment of laughter. That is not really true, deep, abiding, self-loving happiness. So, now is a great time to take some of the time that you have to do some self-work so that when this thing is over, you're going to come out, the words I wanted to use, I'm not sure I can use on your, on your podcast, but I'm going to go with it. You can come out being the baddest bitch on the block. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Exactly. You come out like the beautiful butterfly. You come out, but you're going to come out. And I think that's that piece that, oh my goodness, when it comes to the self-awareness, it was difficult because it's still so taboo. Like we talk about the self-awareness, but you made a great point that there's a lot of people that talk about it, but they're only still dealing with surface things. And so self-awareness is, I'm an introvert and my phone stays on do not disturb. Those who love me know, and they'll call a second time to break through.
I'm taking notes. Now I know.
Right? Those who love me know, call a second time to break through. Those who don't know me are like, oh my goodness, is your phone always on do not?
Because they're probably talking about you.
Listen.
She's all that.
Okay. She done made it. She at the top. Something's wrong. No, I just protect my space. I protect my peace.
Right.
And even I even had to have a conversation with my children and let them know I don't allow everybody to come to our home. I don't allow everybody to get on the phone with me. We have to protect our peace, because I know me, the self-awareness that I have about myself is that I take on emotions from other people. I want to be the helper. I want to be superwoman. Look, I want to put the cape on and fix everybody's problems. And we can't.
And you got to protect your circle. You can't just have anybody around you if you're trying to ascend. So if you are, an entrepreneur or trying to build a business, you can't have all the crabs in the barrel, scraping at you, trying to say, what you doing? You really need people who are going to support you and encourage you. especially when you first start out. Because you're doing
Exactly.
something that most people are never going to do. Most
And
of us are going to work
that's
for someone else.
major, is that we
Mhm.
are, a lot of times we want our family and stuff to support us, but the reality is that they don't know what the journey looks like. They don't know how to support us. But we can definitely find some people that will, tap in, that'll help. I used to say, listen, if you connected to me, we either walking across the finish line running, or I'm dragging you across the finish
One of the
line.
best things that I did was create an advisory board. I had been organizing a meetup group out here in Atlanta for a long time. It's like 6 years now. So I had developed friends who had similar interests to me. And when I launched my business, I was able to ask some of them to be on my board. And that's been such a huge support, because one of the things I've learned is that our family is not necessarily our target audience. Just because they're our family, they may not care at all about whatever it is you're trying to do.
Nope.
Our family also knows us from when we were younger and doing other things. So they're like, oh, yeah, she's doing something, whatever she's doing now. So they just judge us in a way that other people cannot, because they don't know what we were doing when we were 12.
True indeed, true indeed. And one of those pieces of happiness that I had to come to grips with is, it's not my job to change their opinion of me.
And it's impossible anyway. So it's
Mm-hmm.
good that you learn that.
Yes,
Most of us
indeed.
cannot change ourselves without a good amount of work and
That's right.
attention. So the idea that we're going to change our kids or our husbands or our partners or our friends and, change people's minds, it's like, okay, that's a full-time job and it's still probably not going to happen, you know?
A full-time unpaid job.
Exactly. Unpaid and unappreciated.
Exactly.
So,
Speak Easy podcast listeners, I absolutely love this conversation because, again, most of you that follow me throughout social media, you know that it literally, my kids are my world. You may hardly see them on my timeline, but they are my babies. And I literally had to make sure that I was keeping myself happy, finding ways to keep them happy, and moving forward. It's hard as a single mother sometimes. It's hard as an entrepreneur sometimes, but we have to pick our heart, right?
and I'm thinking about what you said too about changing other people. I find that when people change, it's because they watch me and they're inspired, not because I told them that they need to do A, B, or C. They'll just keep watching you and then they'll be like, Then they start asking questions. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've
Mhm.
had a couple people that have watched the journey and then, oh, I think I'm ready to write my book. Oh, I think I'm ready to tell my story now. What's the
Mhm.
first steps? Yeah. Yeah. That makes a huge difference. And it takes a lot of weight off of us.
Yeah. And I want to tell you something though. So, I mentioned the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness, but the way that that happened was at first I was trying to put together a retreat, before COVID happened. And I was writing a book for the retreat participants, which was actually called Thinking Outside the Chrysalis. And as I was writing it, I was like, you know what? I wanted to give people these tips, my retreat participants. And then I realized that I probably needed to tell my story in order for people to believe that I knew what I was talking about. So the book ended up becoming a self-help memoir. Um, but yeah, so it was just kind of interesting how that whole thing happened, because I was trying to have a retreat. And if I had gotten caught up in the fact that the retreat failed, because of COVID, it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to, and kind of spent time being upset about that, I may not have been able to kind of move forward and do what I think is actually more important work, um, in writing books and reaching more people. So
I love
kind of
that. I
interesting.
love that because that was a speakeasy listeners. I hope you were listening. I hope you wrote that down. If not, press pause, rewind, and play it again because that was a gem. That was a diamond right there. Because guess what? Even if something gets canceled, even if something doesn't happen, there may be something else around the corner. There may be some way to flip that. And I think if we don't get stuck in the things that don't happen,
Hmm.
then we can always have our eyesight looking for opportunities to create something else that can.
Yeah, I call that surrender. Because I used to be fighting, girl. I used to be fighting. Like, I'd be like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make 1,000 phone calls. I'm going to do all the things. This is a numbers game. I'm going to grind. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to this. And I was just exhausting myself. The things that are meant for you will come to you. You still got to do the work, but you don't have to beat it to death. Sometimes you just have to pay attention. And when it's time to pivot, pivot. But I do think it also goes back to the stillness that I talked about a little bit before. Meditation sometimes sounds kind of wonky and new age or whatever, but you can call it whatever you want. Sometimes you just need to sit down and be quiet.
Exactly.
So that you can figure out what's going on inside of your head and maybe take a little direction from divine intervention or whoever is communicating with you. But yeah, you got to get quiet sometimes because otherwise we just start, I think of it like a dog with a frisbee. You throw the frisbee, the dog runs, and you could just throw this, you just do that all day. And we're kind of the same way. Like if we never sit still, we're just like work, TV, iPhone, work, TV, iPhone, phone call, my man, what you want, honey? Where the kids? Food, time for dinner, and you just and you just kind of stay in that that circle. It just kind of keeps going until you take a minute and be like, okay, I'm gonna take 20 minutes and just take some time to myself to get some clarity.
And it makes all the difference. Oh my goodness, I love this.
Really does. And honestly, I'm super hard-headed. It took me a long time to get that.
It took me a long time to get it too.
I got more things to do. I got a grocery list and a laundry list and a to-do list. I got all the lists, But that 20 minutes will free up so much more time.
Yeah, it definitely will. Oh my goodness. So Trish, before we go and end the episode, I want you to let everybody know how they can get the book and also how they can reach out to you online or how they can reach out to you for more information and help.
Yeah, I would love to hear from your listeners. So my website is easy. It's mindblowinghappiness.com. No dashes, no spaces, no nothing, just mindblowing happiness. And you can get all of my books on my website. They're also available on Amazon. And if you look for me on social media, my Instagram and my Facebook are Mindblowing Happiness. My Twitter is Trish Ahjel, but I'm Trish Ahjel Roberts. And you can find me just about anywhere. So reach out for sure. I'd love that.
I love it. Speakeasy podcast listeners, I appreciate you because without the Speakeasy listeners, there's no podcast. So thank you to each and every one of you that have been checking out the series. Thank you for those who have been sending me messages and feedback. We like to go and shout you guys out. But not just that, guys. We want to say thank you to our sponsor as well, which is Good Living Now. We appreciate you being able to check them out if you go to bit.ly/a greater life. That is how you check out the story of Harold LaFleur, who is the founder and CEO, and how he used black seed oil to get through cancer. Guys, definitely go check out his story and listen in because he is definitely somebody who doesn't look his age, who doesn't, I would say doesn't act his age, but that has a wrong connotation to it. But he's awesome, and I've been following his journey for several years and super excited that we were able to make that connection. So again, it is bit.ly/a greater life. That's bit.ly/a greater life. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Trish, for being our guest today. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.